You legislated on animal control.
It's on, yeah, that's what we got. That's what we
own animal care control.
Right.
The budget for this year.
Yep, we're on time.
These are things that need to sign. Put that there.
We're just waiting for one member to return. Short recess from the last meeting, allow him to use the restroom. I call this meeting to order, the regular common council meeting, February 6, 2024 at 7 p.m. And City Clerk Deborah, if you could do roll call. That's correct. I skipped right past it. I'm getting so excited. Yes. Yes, we'll go ahead and start with prayer, and I'm going to lead with that prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we just ask for your guidance and wisdom as we make decisions that impact all of the citizens of this wonderful city. And we just ask for discernment and wisdom as we navigate through this meeting. And we just ask that you bless everyone here and all the council members that are making decisions. Amen.
Amen.
All right, I'm also going to lead the Pledge of Allegiance today. So, Pledge Allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. Now, City Clerk Deborah, if you could do roll call.
Kane,
Here.
Marshall,
Here.
Fordyce,
Here.
Brunner, Klein,
Here.
Devine,
Here.
Witten,
Here.
Cowgill,
Here.
McKinley.
Here. All right, we're going to move into the neighborhood spotlight. And today we have the Mississinawa Valley Obedience Club. And I'm going to turn this over to Councilwoman Devine, as this was something she had arranged. Do you see them here? Is anyone from the Mississinawa Valley Obedience Club here at the meeting? All right, well, then we're going to go ahead and bypass that. Things can come up and happen, I understand. And we're going to go into the first responder spotlight. And today's first responder spotlight, we're going to be honoring retired police chief Angela Haley. She's here tonight. And retired Chief Haley, if you could please come to the front. Oh, all the way up. Come all the way around. Okay, it's in right here. Just have a few words. 30 years, I believe.
Close to it.
Close to it. And retired Chief Haley started out as a dispatcher, am I correct?
Yes.
And has had a life full of public service and continues to serve as campus police on IW. And we wanted to honor her for her service and recognize her for not only serving the public. Being a police officer is a very dangerous profession. I have a lot of respect for it. I was a police officer previously. So it's got a near and dear spot in my heart. So not only did she sacrifice, her safety, her time, probably sanity at times, but she spent a lot of time as the chief of police. And we just want to recognize you for your time for the city, from the council, and have a few gifts for you. So this first one here, hopefully you have space on your wall somewhere, but it's a thin blue line, little American flag badge that says Chief Angela Haley, number 9415. That's your badge number, correct?
Yes.
So we'd like to give this to you as a gift. I can put it back in there, but
Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And we also have a flag that was flown over City Hall.
You
we'd like to present.
deserve this and more. 30 years is a long time to do that job, and I commend you for that. Angela, I've known you. We went on about the same time, actually, when I was on the fire department. So, well deserved, Carl. Thank you very much for serving for us.
Would you like to hear any words? You don't have to, but if you'd like to.
I'll keep it short and sweet because I know how everybody wants to stay here late. I'll just say this. This community has been great to me, to my family. I've raised my children here. I was born here, not raised here. My dad was a military man, and so we lived all over the world. I spent 8 years in Europe, but this is home. This was always home. Vogel's Donuts, when we would come back. 9th and Geneva will always be home. That's where my grandparents' house was. That was the only home that we had because we moved every 1, 2, or 3 years. This is the longest I've ever lived any place. And we have a great community. We've got a better community than a lot of people will acknowledge. We have a lot to be proud of. I'm happy to see the members of the public in the audience. I'd like to see more people participate in local government. Again, this community's been fantastic to my family, and if there's anything that I can do for anyone, I intend to do it. This is home. This is where we're staying. So, and my kids are their roots are starting to get deep in this community as well. So I'm proud of that as well. So.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Retired
you.
Chief Haley. Okay, we're going to move on to the approval of the minutes, and I would entertain a motion for the approval of the minutes. We have a motion by Councilman Klein, second by Councilman Fordyce. City Clerk Deborah, roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Okay, the minutes have been approved, and we're going to move into consideration or ratification of pre-approved claims. I would entertain a motion.
I make a motion pass. The consideration ratification of pre-approved claims.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Fordice, a second by Vice President Calgill. City Clerk Deborah, roll call.
Kane,
I don't see a Deborah
Aye.
Rowe in your contact.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill.
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Okay, those have passed, and moving into consideration of claims, would entertain a motion.
Make a motion to pass consideration of claims.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice President Calgill. I believe Councilman Kane beat you there, so we have a second. And roll call, City Clerk Deborah.
Yeah, Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Yes.
McKinley.
Yes. Okay, the claims have been approved. Moving on to committee reports. Any council members have some committee reports?
Mr. President, I do. I went to the Aviation Board meeting February 1st, and the major topics they had, there were updates on the approval progress toward a new runway, and discussion on new fuel tanks, one for jet fuel and another for 100-octane fuel. The design contracts are in the work, and these are needed because the airport needs greater fuel capacity because it's in use by businesses, private pilots. It's getting a lot of use from folks around the area. There are new students in the flight academy, and because the airport's trying to stay ahead of potential problems. The current tanks don't have any leaks, don't have any problems. The airport wants to stay ahead of that. The IDEM recommendation is a 30-year lifespan, and the tanks are approaching that, so they're looking into new tanks for jet fuel and 100-octane low lead fuel. They also received estimates on the cost of extending water and sewer, especially sewer, to the airport, and I'll share those with the mayor when we meet this week, and I thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Klein. Any others? Councilwoman Devine?
Yes, I attended the Utility Services Board meeting on the 1st of February, and they discussed and approved the low bids for the SRF projects they're working on, and are planning to get that to the board for approval to get those bid awards and then start the projects. I think that's another 90 days out to do that whole process. Includes working on 2 water tanks, doing the meter replacement project that I believe they've already done some of and are completing that with doing the electronic meters to help with reading. And then adding some additional service lines and water distribution improvements. So is what they're working on with that. They also gave an update on the State Road 18 booster station and looking at the bids for those. And whenever the budget reconciliations, and gave an update on the digester cleanup that's been going on there at the plant. So they had quite a bit of business they were working on. I will also say that I took a tour of the plant, and that is very interesting for those who have not done that yet or have not been out there in a while. I would definitely recommend that, to reach out to Chuck Binkard and set that up, and make sure you give yourself a day that it's not cold or rainy and that you have plenty of time to walk around. And then I also attended the Board of Public Works meeting yesterday. They talked with the mayor a little bit about his real estate negotiations that I believe he'll be presenting to us tonight. The transportation department is transferring some of their older buses to Grant County to the sheriff's department to use as transport, which is, I think, a great use, and glad that they're doing that. And then they also talked about the building maintenance and their vehicle trade-in, and the fire prevention chief, which is also going to be discussed tonight on our agenda. So.
Thank you, Councilwoman Divide. I will say I was with her on that tour, and when I thought I knew how the water or was ran in this city, I was totally wrong. So, and I only had an hour and I learned so much. So I believe once in a while they have stuff open to the public, and if they do, I encourage everyone to attend it, or if they don't, maybe that's something they can do. It's quite fascinating. It's one of the core things that our city needs is water, and it's such a complicated process, and it's fascinating. So thank you for going out and taking that tour and learning more about the, well, we did more than the water. We looked at trash and everything else. So very impressively ran organization over there. So mega kudos to them. Any other committee reports? Okay, I have two. Recently had a redevelopment commission meeting. Basically, we're just getting started. Formation occurred. We have a president and vice president. Darren Reese is the president of the redevelopment commission. I'm the vice president. Haven't done anything yet, but we're excited for the things that are going to come. And also the Growth Council. I actually had my first meeting I attended was this morning. It was an executive session. I can't go into many details yet. It'll come out here probably tomorrow. All I can say is I'm very, very excited for the future of the Growth Council. And I think once information is out, I think most people will agree. So I'm really excited. I think we're going to be turning a corner with the Growth Council here really soon. So that's all I can share on the committee reports. Any other committee reports? Okay, moving on to unfinished business. City Clerk Debbie, if you could go ahead and start with the first.
Okay, general ordinance number 1, 2024, second reading and public hearing. An ordinance amending general ordinance 12, 2023, an ordinance fixing maximum salaries of appointed officers and employees, an annual payment of flex dollars, $250 to non-contractual full-time employees of the city of Marion, Indiana for the year 2024. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell, Jr.
Good evening, everyone. I'm very excited to be here. I think we've hashed through this before. I don't know if there's any other questions that you would like to ask me. I would be more than welcome to answer those. And or if anyone has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
No questions? Okay, thank you, Mayor. And now we're going to turn into the public hearing portion. And so each member of the public that's present is welcome to come up to the podium, introduce yourself, give your address, and you have 3 minutes to speak. And we ask that you keep the questions or comments directly related to this specific ordinance. So the public hearing will open. Going once, twice, all right. We're going to go ahead and close the public hearing. And I would entertain a motion for suspending the rules.
I'll make a motion that we suspend the rules on general ordinance number 1, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice President Cowgill, a second by Councilman Kane. Roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes.
Chris.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'd like to go ahead and make a motion that we pass general ordinance number 1, 2024.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice President Cowgill, a second by Councilman Kane. And roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. So general ordinance number 1-2024 has passed second reading, and we've suspended the rules, and we'll bypass the third hearing.
Congratulations, Mayor. That's your first ordinance. It's passed since you.
We did it. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you. This, for those who don't know, this ordinance will, one of the things that's in here that I'm very excited about, this allows us to be able to move forward in our process of hiring a grant writer. So we already have a job description, so we're going to post that tomorrow and get that on the road. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, moving on to new business. On the agenda was the discussion and selection of the city council attorney. That actually was at the special meeting we had prior to this that was posted last week. But I will give an update for those that are watching live on YouTube and anyone that wasn't here. Both excellent candidates. I really think we'd be served great with either of them. But we are missing one council member, Councilman Brunner, and the vote ended with a 4-4 split. And so there has not been a council attorney selected. So what's going to happen is this is going to get moved to the next council meeting during the regular meeting. And we'll take another vote at that time. Hopefully we have the full council. Okay, we're going to move on to the next order of business. General ordinance number 3-2024. City Clerk Debbie, go ahead.
Okay, first reading, an ordinance amending original ordinance number 11/1979 pertaining to no parking zones. Speaking Mike Graft, Head of Engineering, Planning Director.
Good evening. Obviously, it's been a long time since this ordinance has been looked at, but in the last few months, we've had some petitioners come to the Traffic Commission in various areas of the city to request some no parking. The Traffic Commission has reviewed it and has given favorable recommendation to the City Council to amend the ordinance to add these areas of parking. I have sent out legal notices to the affected areas. So at our second public hearing, I've invited the people, if they want to speak for or against the areas, to come and have a discussion with you. But if you have anything specific to talk about with the individual ordinances, I'll be glad to help you with that.
I do have a question for you.
Sure.
Have you had any pushback from anybody, any of the residents, on any of these that are being proposed?
The only one that we haven't gotten any feedback from is the one on Poplar Street. It's at Ontario, between Ontario and 32nd. There's three people that are on that area. Actually, there's only 2 property owners, but there's 3 properties that abut it. They were given notice. We had a conversation at the Traffic Commission. There are some other things that are going on in that area that the Plan Commission or the Board of Zoning Appeals is working on with a couple of property owners to clean up some issues that they have. But there's been the neighbors that are in that area have complained about that one block being very congested. One of the property owners works on semi trucks. So when they're moving trucks in and out, the parking that's on either side of the road tends to get pretty congested. So to that effect, that group have been notified. So hopefully they'll come at our second reading.
Any other questions? All right, thank you so much, Mike. Appreciate it.
I'll see you on this one in a couple weeks.
Okay, I would entertain a motion for general ordinance number 3-2024.
Move we pass this to second reading and public hearing.
Second. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Andy.
Okay, we've got a motion by Councilman Klein. We have a second by Councilman Witt. Roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Okay, general ordinance number 3-2024 will move to second reading at the next meeting. And moving on to the next new business item, appropriation ordinance number 1-2024.
An ordinance of the City of Marion, Indiana, appropriating certain funds for the City of Marion, Indiana, and providing for the effective date thereof, from the edit fund to community crossing account, the amount of $97,000. Speaking, Mike Graff.
Good evening again. So the next three ordinances that are actually appropriation ordinances that will come to you this evening. We had a discussion in a budget hearing where these lay out. The money from the edit, it was money that we had left over from the dam. And you should have proper paperwork behind that that shows where the funding was still remaining. So what this is for is we had a balance still owed to the contractor that did community crossing in 2023 in the tune of about a little over $300,000. So these next three appropriation ordinances are to help finish that obligation. Entertain any questions?
I do have a question. I believe you might have answered this at the budget committee. Why are we paying for those now and not last year? I'm just out of curiosity.
So we had asked for some funding. One of them is in one of the other ordinances that you're going to hear from local road and street that we could have applied to that. We had asked the council. It was either, and I correct me if I'm wrong, that we either proposed either out of edit or COVID money for $500,000. That never got appropriated or approved. It went into committee and nothing ever happened with that, or it would have gotten paid last year. But since that didn't happen, that's where I'm at today. It was out of COVID. It was either edit or COVID. I didn't make the request. That came from the previous administration, from the mayor. So I'm not sure which one it was from. I think it was one or the other. It could have been used from one or the other, but I don't know.
Great, thank you. My only request is that we hopefully don't have to run into this again. And I guess my question was, we paved a lot of roads, but we hadn't allocated the money for it yet.
So how the process works, I'm in the process of doing the community crossing for 2024. So you have to commit to it early on. You go by the communication that I had with the mayor that the funding would be there. That's what I had to go by. That's what I submitted by. So that's the only way that I can go. It's just like a real tax. I'm anticipating $597,000. Could be more, could be less. So I don't have that fund available in front of me. It'll happen throughout the year, and then when the community crossing, if we get it, it gets paid at the end of the year. That we'll have those dollars available to us at the end of the year. So it's the way that it's a money flow issue. So
thank you for explaining that. Appreciate that.
sure.
Okay, how would any other questions?
For the community crossings, you apply for it and we get awarded and receive the money in the same fiscal year, in the same calendar year. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. And the way that they do it now, that it's split. So if I'm asking for a total of $3 million, 1.5 million would come from the state. They can give us a portion of it, and then I can apply for the remaining if we don't get it all in this first go around. So hopefully we'll get it all in the first go around. I don't have to reapply because it's a lengthy process.
Okay, any other questions? No other questions. I would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to pass appropriation ordinance 1/2024, the second reading.
I'll second that.
Yes.
Okay, we've got a motion by Councilman Fordyce and a second by Councilman Witt. Roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. All right, appropriation ordinance number 1-2024 is passed. So we'll go to a second reading, public hearing at the next meeting. Moving on to appropriation ordinance number 2-2024. Go ahead, City Clerk.
An ordinance of the City of Marion, Indiana, appropriating certain funds for the City of Marion, Indiana, and providing for the effective date thereof, from the wheel tax fund to miscellaneous contractual services account, the amount of $98,894. Speaking, Mike Graff.
Good evening again. So this is again to go with the pay the remaining of the community crossing. This is actually wheel tax dollars that, because of the way that the county works, we didn't get until at the very end of the year. And by that time, you can't come in and request it. So we're coming in with a request. And actually, we found out by going through this that we didn't get a payment in September that was posted by the county, but was never put in. So I'll be coming back in for some additional funds, like $54,000 to $57,000, which will totally, I won't have to dip into my general fund budget to finish paying the contractor off. So not that that's a good thing. We would love to have caught it, that we didn't receive it, but the controller's office caught it when they were going through the paperwork. So we're very happy about that.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, with no questions, I would entertain a motion.
I'll move we pass this on first reading and move it on to second reading and public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Klein, second by Councilwoman Devine. Roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordyce,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance number 2-2024 is passed. It'll move to second reading, public hearing at the next meeting. Moving on to the next item under new business, appropriation ordinance number 3-2024. City Clerk.
An ordinance of the City of Marion, Indiana, appropriating certain funds for the City of Marion, Indiana, and providing for the effective date thereof, from the local road and street fund to other contractual services account, the amount of $80,000. Speaking, Mike Graff.
This is the last one. So, well, maybe for me. Oh, you're gonna bring me up for something else. Okay. So this was actually funds that we had in the local road and street from 2022 that I am bringing back, or trying to get out of that leftover fund to be able to use for paying the contractor off. Be glad to answer any questions.
I do have a question. Just thought of this. Oh, if all of these pass at second reading, is everything paid off? Is there anything else that's going to come up?
Not from me.
I figured just from you. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Okay, I would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to pass appropriation ordinance number 3/2024 on the second reading, public hearing.
I'll second that.
We've got a motion by Councilman Fordyce, a second by Councilman Witt. Roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance number 3-2024, first reading is passed. It'll move to a second reading, public hearing at the next council meeting. Thank you, Mike.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Do I need to stay?
Oh, you got $500,000 coming on today.
All right, moving on to appropriation ordinance number 4-2024.
An ordinance of the city of Marion, Indiana, appropriating certain funds for the city of Marion, Indiana, and providing for the effective date thereof, from the edit fund to miscellaneous contractual services account, the amount of $184,853.87. Speaking, Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
All right. Hello again, everyone. This is a part of our, I think the next maybe 4 or 5 ordinances are from the budget committee that we discussed. So if there's any further questions about these, the request was to split them out, so we did that. So if there's any other questions, let me know and I'll answer to the best of my ability.
Mayor, if you could, just for the public, just let them know what you're requesting in this.
Oh, that's gonna make me remember all the items. So what underneath this is
Generally,
huh?
just generally.
Generally, so what this is bringing our remodeling our building. I believe if Mr. Slush is still here, he can come up with me. He's done with all the process on this. This is essentially bringing updating our facility. And I'll give you a quick reason why. Just this week, I had a meeting with some local developers who are interested in doing a $15 million project. I think I've shared with most of you, and I know me and Councilman Fordyce had talked about the area a little bit. And when they came in, they were awestruck because they've been in City Hall before. They were awestruck of some of the remodels that we already done. They said, "Wow, this looks like you are taking this seriously." And you believe it or not, there are people who are willing to now personal guarantee doing major projects because not only because of the appearance, but that played a role into my overall presentation and people wanting to invest into the city of Marion. So that's my one of my reasons behind it, that this happened in real life this week. And my original proposal about it was that, this facility was built in '79, and that's, quite frankly, a long time ago. And I think it's our responsibility as taxpayers and people who are stewards of that money to make sure that our building is taken care of internally, like the guts of it, but also cosmetically. So I'll now throw a shot so we don't end up like our counterparts where we have to spend hundreds of millions of dollars on buildings because we didn't take care of our own stuff. So we don't want to end up like that. So we want to make sure we invest in it while we can still afford to do so.
Thank you, Mayor. David, do you want to share anything?
Yeah, just like, follow up with the mayor here, getting the appearance and also having our employees and everybody having to a nice, clean, comfortable environment, not only just the looks, getting our heating and air and everything under control this year. So that's just a little bit, the guts of just running a building, if you guys have your business, what it takes to run, to me, to make things, you're going to have to spend money on your house. That's where we're at.
Great, thank you. Anyone have any questions?
Yeah.
Councilman Fordyce?
Yeah, David, I know that I've spoke to you and the mayor on this before. Since it's $184,000, we've talked this in budget hearing, and I've talked to the mayor about it. Have you bid it all out? Have you advertised for it for bidding, and you bid everything out? Because I didn't see where it was advertised.
So we went over this in our budget hearing. So the bidding is $50,000 and up, right? So each one of these none of these projects are close to the bid limit. The total ask for all these different variations of projects, and I'm glad you brought this up here. So we're doing everything from painting to power washing the building to flooring to water fountains to remodeling restrooms, etc. All these are different items that we're just asking for an appropriation to cover all the items. So and then to answer your question, the things that are being done externally, because a lot of stuff is going to be done by our internal staff, and we're just having to buy the materials. But the things that are going to be done externally, we did get bids from local people.
I understand that, but you've got it all into one. So since it's 184,000, it has to be completely bid out. That's just state statute.
Well, I think we're misinterpreting. So the amount of money being asked for is 184,000, but that's not going towards one project that is 184,000. So the state statute only triggers if you are spending money on something that is above the bid limit, which is above $50,000. So we're not spending that on any of these individual things. The highest one we have is, I think, $34,000 for one expenditure item. But so we're asking for this money from the edit fund into miscellaneous contractual services to be able to pay for these things individually. So Councilman Fordyce does bring up a good point. If we were doing a project with one company in City Hall that was estimated to be upwards of 184,000, that would trigger our normal bidding process to go to the Board of Works, etc.
Councilman Fordyce, anything else?
I just believe since you lumped it all together, that's why I kind of asked in the budget committee meeting if you'd separate each one out. I know you did on a couple things, but since it's $184,853, I know you're using a couple different contractors for various purchases and on carpet, furniture, right?
Yeah.
So, and is just everything been bid out, or just one thing been bid out, or?
So a priority of mine, and I'm going to try to push in this administration, we want to use as many local contractors, vendors as possible. So what we've done is we've bid out for the options of people that service locally here. So yes, that's the bidding process we went through. But then, I mean, again, we can look into it more legally, but from the interpretation from our legal internally is that bid requirement is only triggered if you're doing one project specifically over the allotment.
No, I agree with you 100%, but they're all locked into one appropriation. So.
Okay. So my understanding is, this is just an appropriation to move the money. We're not necessarily approving a specific project through this process. We're just appropriating the money. That's my understanding. If that's the case, then we would have to bid out on $1,000 jobs all individually, because it's not one contractor handling, say, mowing services for the whole city. For instance, some of the money that's in here is we're going to put a giant TV behind us so we can stream videos, do presentations. So I find it would be impossible to bid that out, because the city IT department is going to be installing that. So there's a lot of complexities to that. I respect you wanting to follow that, but my understanding is that we don't have any specific projects within what he's wanting to do with the remodel that exceeded, I believe, the 50,000. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's my interpretation of it as well. And again, when we start to expend these funds, the council has to approve all the bills anyway. So all this stuff will come across your desk. So it's not like you're gonna allow 184,000 out of the edit fund into for us to expend, and I'm just going to go spend 184,000 on something. You have to approve, and you'll see, and you'll be privy to every expenditure that we do because of the process that we have now.
I will add also as well, this is first reading. We move it to second. If it passes, it goes to a second reading, and my hope is at that next meeting, we do have legal counsel. We have full counsel here for the full vote that could possibly then advise and give you a recommendation on that as well.
We have a city attorney we can ask about that, but I'm just telling you, state statute says any appropriation for services or goods over 50,000 needs to be bid and advertised for bid. You know that. You guys corrected me at the last meeting.
Yeah, I mean, again, I guess that's a good point.
I'm just trying to make it legal and correct and transparent.
Yeah.
I don't want any questions come up later that, why didn't you put it out for bid or anything?
Right.
You know,
We pulled up the bid document. I sent it to, I believe, some of the council who had a question. So the bid is specifically attached to projects, right? So what we're asking for right now is just an appropriation of funds. So the bids that the projects that we're going to do with this appropriation of funds are well below the bid. So again, what we're doing right now is just appropriating these $184,000 to do the projects listed out that we've sent, but every one of them follows our bid requirement. And additionally, like I brought up, is those bills coming before the council for approval or denial in our current process.
Great, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, with no other questions, I would entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve appropriation ordinance number 4, 2024 to a second reading and public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilman Kane and a second by Councilman Klein. Roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
no,
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance number 4-2024. We'll move to a second reading, public hearing at the next council meeting. Moving on to appropriation ordinance number 5-2024, first reading.
An ordinance of the city of Marion, Indiana, appropriating certain funds for the city of Marion, Indiana, and providing for the effective date thereof. From the edit fund to community crossing account, the amount of $500,000. Speaking Mayor Ronald Morrell Jr.
One moment. Councilman Fordyce, would you mind muting your microphone? Sorry. Thank you.
Mike Graff can come back up here with me. But essentially what this is the state prior to this cycle only allowed us to match up to $1 million for our community crossing. This is the first year they've allowed us to match $1.5 million allotment. So what we're looking for is to get the full possible amount of money that they offer. So what this additional $500,000 is going to put us in a position to get a match of 1.5 and give us a total of $3 million to be able to execute our streets and roads, and how I believe I sent this to everyone, how Mike Graff, I don't have a title for you, but how Mike Graff calculated it all out. We'll be able to do roughly $800,000 to $1 million of sidewalks in addition to the roads with this additional appropriation.
Could you say that again? 800,000 to $1 million in sidewalks? Is that what you said?
Yes.
That's this year, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I do have a question
No,
though
yes.
on that. That's music to my ears. I do have a question on that. And maybe this is something you're looking at 2025. But do we have a plan to address some of the alleyways, especially the high traffic alleyways?
So I've been going back and forth with Mike Graff. I'm thinking something. I've been going back and forth with Mike Graff on the best solution to our alleyways. I also spent some time with Councilman Flores about this, and I think it's been a resounding effect that paving our alleys was a mistake. And that's what we've all kind of shared. So now it's how do we, and for various reasons, I won't go into all the flooding and erosion things that happen because of the paving. So now we're looking up alternate solutions to be able to make sure our alleys are the best serviceable. And I think there's been a lot of things being wrestled around, but one of the things that I think we have the equipment for, if not we need to purchase it or repair it, is to do like the rock mix solution. I'm sorry, I don't have the technical term. Durapatcher, yeah, and what that will do is in the alleys, when people drive over top of that will eventually compact, and it'll be easier for us to maintain and avoid the pitfalls that paving has caused. That's what.
Great, thank you for that. Any other questions? No further questions. I would entertain a motion.
President. I move that we pass appropriation ordinance number 5, 2024 to a second reading and public hearing.
Second.
Do we have a motion by Councilman Kane and a second by Councilman Klein? Roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance number 5-2024 has passed. It'll move to a second reading and public hearing at the next council meeting. Moving on to appropriation ordinance number 6-2024, first reading.
An ordinance of the City of Marion, Indiana, appropriating certain funds for the City of Marion, Indiana, and providing for the effective date thereof from the edit fund to miscellaneous contractual services account, the amount of $36,000. Speaking, Ronald Morrell Jr., Mayor.
And I believe, so, this week I was informed that, one of the bills on the, legislator is to get rid of single site tips, which is, not to go into too much details, but it can be harmful to some of the projects we're trying to do. And, this is the reason why that we need someone that is lobbying for us to be able to, first of all, inform us what's going on, but then also somebody fighting against that says, hey, if you pass that, that harms the city of Marion. That hurts us. Another thing that's came across is our county and other counties are trying to pass taxes to build the jail that they're required to do, and that can take money from us. So now, how do we get somebody on there and say, hey, you know, if we're going to give the county this money to do this, don't take Marion out of the equation. That's going to take money from us. So we have to have somebody at the state legislature fighting for us every day. Those are just two recent issues that I've seen or I was informed about. But there's plethora of things that are issues, but there are some things that are not issues that we're just missing because we don't have a presence at the state house. And again, I shared, I think in the budget committee, in our budget committee is like, I can go down to Indianapolis every day for this the whole time, but I don't think that's the best time served for me. And I'll go when I can. I'll have to be there next week. But I think that, and again, I'm not an expert at this, at the lobbying part of it. I mean, I can go in there and make connections, but I think that having someone fighting for the city of Marion constantly is going to put us in a better position to be successful.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions? All right, so I've thought long and hard of this one. I'll make a statement, not so much questions, but I had the pleasure of meeting with Brian Burdick. He is the gentleman with Barnes and Thornsburg that the mayor is proposing being the lobbyist for the city of Marion. I had an excellent meeting with him. And I also got references from him and made some phone calls and spoke to some references, which I'll share. But I just want to emphasize the crucial role that a lobbyist can play in advocating for our city's interests. I understand we have AIM. AIM lobbies for kind of generally all cities and general laws. Think about your own industries that you have worked in, currently work in. Every single one of them has a lobbyist, I can guarantee you. And I would venture to say about every single large corporation or business has its own lobbyist down at the State House. And that's for good reasons. I like to view the lobbyist position as more of a liaison, especially on the state level. We can't have the mayor down there every day. He's focused on the things in the city, but there is a lot of discussion down at the State House of certain bills that would affect Marion, but really even more for projects. If we didn't have a mayor that was so forward-thinking and want to move this city forward, I probably would be apprehensive. But the fact that there are so many things that we need to do for this city and want to do, and we have a mayor and I would say a council that wants to move the city forward probably better and faster than we have seen in a long time. It's going to require somebody down the State House to make connections, not just with the state legislator, but state departments, the IEDC, all these other bureaucracies that you got to cut red tape and you got to call an 800 number and then you're getting kicked back. When you have a lobbyist like Brian Burdick, who's been doing this for a long time, and he's extremely well respected down at the State House, it's a matter of picking up, calling his cell phone. This is what we want to do. We need your help. Let's have a meeting. This man has connections everywhere down there. I know this because I spoke to two separate mayors. The former mayor of Valparaiso, Matt Murphy, he was the mayor there for 4 years. He didn't run for re-election due to his family business selling, and he had pursued another opportunity. Had a long conversation with him, and basically he said most of the projects they did in Valparaiso would not have happened if it wasn't for having Brian on board and helping getting things passed down the State House, or just getting assistance from certain state agencies. It was a 45-minute conversation. I'm not going to bore you with all of it, but basically I said, is there anything that we should know that wouldn't be good? And everything was positive. He said, basically, you have to have, and I believe it was him. Yeah, I believe it was him that they even, I believe, have a lobbyist on the national level because they believe in it so much. Excuse me. I also talked to the mayor from Fishers, Scott Fadness. We all know Fishers pretty well. It's pretty close to us, and know the successes they've had. And again, he's been the mayor there since they were a town. And so he's really helped develop Fishers to what it's now. And he's had Brian Burdick on board the whole time. And he flat out said they wouldn't have been able to accomplish a lot of their projects without the assistance of Brian. There was also some state legislation that was going to affect how State Road 37 was going to come through Fishers, and it was going to negatively impact businesses. And without Brian, he said they wouldn't have been able to get that amended and tweaked to not affect the residents of Fishers. So it's one of those things you just don't know what's going to come. I know the mayor has a lot that he wants to get done, and I just believe firmly that this is a good direction forward. The nice thing, this is a 1-year commitment. And essentially, it's, if this were to pass at maybe the second or third reading, we're really looking at a 10-month commitment at this point because we're two months in. And then we can always reevaluate at the end of the year. I will say, I'll add on comment to the mayor. These were comments from both of the previous mayors I spoke to. They said your lobbyist is only as good as the relationship that the mayor builds with them. And they said that you have to utilize them, you have to keep them engaged and not wait. And so you're constantly talking to them, you're constantly meeting with them, and you've got to go down to the State House with that lobbyist as well to get those introductions, to meet the right people, to help make those decisions and make those connections. So that's all I have to say. I'm in support of it. But anyone else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I echo that, President McKinley. It's, through all the years on the fire department, Chief Garr, I think, would agree with this. We've had lobbyists constantly down here for the fire service and doing it. And we have gotten so many things that has helped the fire service on both a local, a national, whatever level because of the lobbyists down there. I'm telling you, if you don't have somebody down there barking for you, you're not heard. It's just the way it is. So, I mean, I'm very big in favor of this as well.
I will say I spent a bunch of days down at the State House with Tracy Boatwright talking to him. And having been at the State House, I've seen lobbyists, they're helpful, and they don't just lobby during session. They work elsewhere because they got other agencies that they can say good things about us for. I'm willing to give this a shot because I've seen what lobbyists can do. They're helpful. They have information. They can get information to people. We may not be able to get it to as quickly and as rapidly. I'm willing to give it a shot. I would hate to, I want to give it a chance to succeed. So, I mean, I also in the back of my head, we bloody well better get some results, but I'm willing to give it a shot.
I'll also add, I was at the AIM conference a couple of weeks ago, and we had a session, and there were 3 council members, one from the city of Indianapolis, Noblesville, and Monticello. And during the Q&A, I asked them, we were talking about economic development and lobbyists, and I asked them, do they have lobbyists? And without hesitation, all three of them at the same time said absolutely. Every three of those cities, and they're developing cities as well. And basically they said, you have to have one. If you want to get things done, you want to move your city forward, you have to have one. So, and there were some other people in the room that agreed as well. But the other thing too is speaking with Brian, he's very selective in the communities that he wants to serve. So he's not just broadly advertised. He's, we'll say, considered one of the best lobbyists downstate. And speaking with him, I think I basically asked him why Marion. And he believes in the vision that the mayor has, and he believes in moving this city forward, and he wants to see us succeed. And that's the sentiment I've heard from a lot of people, even outside of our community. They want to see us succeed. So this gentleman, not only is he doing this because it's his job, but he wants to see Marion move forward. So that's all I have. Any other comments or questions? With nothing else, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. President. I'd like to make a motion that we pass appropriation ordinance number 6, 2024 onto second reading, public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice President Cowgill, a second by Councilman Kane. Roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Appropriation ordinance number 6-2024 is passed. It'll move on to second reading and public hearing at the next city council meeting. Moving on to appropriation ordinance number 7-2024, first reading.
An ordinance of the city of Marion, Indiana, appropriating certain funds for the city of Marion, Indiana, and providing for the effective date thereof, from the edit fund to council district neighborhood ADA account, the amount of $30,000. Speaking, Ronald Morrell, Jr., Mayor.
Yeah, so this is kind of bringing back a thing in history. So what this allows the council people to do, I don't have the financial breakdown per council person in front of me, but it's different for the districts and at large. It allows you to partner with our engineering department to help citizens in your district or at large with repairing their sidewalks. So what we did is made this specific to just with the engineering department and helping people in your district or at large with their sidewalks. With the match program, to be more specific. With our, yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. Just for some clarity on that, for those watching at home or that are here, the request is $2,500 for each district council member and $5,000 for each at-large council member, totaling the $30,000. And the purpose of this, excuse me, the purpose of this is to allow council members, either within their district or at large, of course, to assist members of the public, our citizens, in getting their sidewalks repaired. We do have the 50-50 match program, which I encourage everyone to look into. But if we have certain residents that maybe need assistance meeting that 50-50 match, this gives discretion to council members to assist those in their neighborhoods that can help contribute towards that 50-50 match. And to add on to that, with the excitement that I got when I heard 800,000 in sidewalks, a huge opportunity. So while that's a lot of money, that's not all the sidewalks in the city. So there are still going to be people that really need those sidewalks, especially neighborhoods with kids, people with disabilities. And so this allows those council members to assist. Now, as far as implementation of that, that will be up to the council members if they want to reach out to people in their districts. People watching the meeting on YouTube right now, more than welcome to share that information. If this were to pass, that's the way we'll go with it. It'll be kind of up to the council members' discretion, and it is highly controlled and regulated. Money is just not given in cash to council members to hand out. There is a process to make sure that this money is spent for that particular project. So, any other questions or comments? no questions or comments, I would entertain a motion. Go ahead.
I'd make a motion to pass appropriation ordinance number 7, 2024 to second reading, public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilman Fordyce, second by Vice President Cowgill. Roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes. Or appropriation ordinance number 7-2024 is passed. It'll move to second reading, public hearing at the next council meeting. And moving on to resolution number 1-2024.
A resolution authorizing the mayor of the city of Marion and the Board of Public Works to start the procurement process to purchase real estate located on Southwestern Avenue, Marion, Indiana. Speaking, Mayor Morrell.
I don't think I got a chance to explain this one-on-one to everyone as usual, so I'll try to do my best to explain it now. So I researched the process of what it looks like to be able to, for the city to be able to start the process of purchasing real estate. And in order for us to be able to move forward in that procurement process, the council has to pass a resolution allowing me to even negotiate. Like, so for example, the property that we're looking at is on the bypass south of TJ Maxx, and it's 80 acres for us to even be able to start the conversation of getting appraisals and the negotiation process. We have to get this resolution passed. So this is not binding. This is not saying we are going to buy it. This is not committing to any purchases. This is not an offer. That will have to be approved later on if we as a body, as a mayor and as a council decide to go forward with it. But this is just a resolution for us to express interest and begin the conversation with it.
Thank you, Mayor. Any questions?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, you explained it well to me, probably everybody else, but just in case, would you explain it again like you told me and for our viewing audience? Tell me what you want to do with the property, why you want the property, why the city's interested in it.
Yeah, so I believe that this is could be the next prime development for the city of Marion. So from the connections I've made from different developers, if we have land as a bargaining chip or a tool, this allows us to easily attract more development. Not easily is the wrong word. That makes us more attractive to bring people in. So it's not this. Another thing I'm learning, it's never easy, but this gives us additional bargaining chip if we were to actually go forward and purchase this land. I mean, so there's some things I would like to do. I would like to see, housing is a big thing. To be really specific, I met with the mayor of Kokomo, and everybody knows that they just got the humongous 2 battery plants. And one of his statements to me is we got all these people coming into work, but we don't have anywhere for them to live. In Kokomo, they don't have any more expansion areas. So me being like, I said, hey, well, what if I can get some housing in Marion and they can just drive to Kokomo? And he said, yeah, and I didn't have any housing, but I just said it just to see what the response would be. So if we were able to get something like this could be an accommodation onto the living in Kokomo, and they can just jump right on whatever that highway is and get right to Kokomo. So that's just options, but having the land allows us to be able to have a bargaining chip for development.
And I think I remember you said the owners are interested in selling. This isn't an eminent domain kind of thing.
Oh no, I'm not. No, I haven't really interest in taking from them. They're on the market for sale. They have like 2 offers on it already. That's going to be just for more farmland. So this is. I actually called them and said that, hey, I know I heard you guys are going to sell this and just keep it as more farmland. But would you consider the city of Marion being a option to buy? And quite frankly, they had 2 cash offers to be farmland. They said, okay, no, we'll wait for you to go through your process because we believe that the city of Marion really needs this land. So that's how that came about.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I've got it.
Microphone. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, have you approached the redevelopment commission? Because just from what I have came up in state statute is that, we can see about property if we're interested in stuff, but as far as the city itself and the council approving purchase has to be for a municipal use only, or eminent domain, or a right of way, or a city park. Other than that, it refers to the redevelopment commission that has to actually purchase the property and develop it.
Yep, that's all correct. So if, when it comes time to purchase, we would have to purchase it through the redevelopment commission. But what this is just allowing us to do is start the conversation. So that's
Okay,
right.
That's great. So, and I know me and you talked about this and, on the process to procure it, you said you're gonna get some appraisals?
So, we have to get 2 to 3 appraisals, and the only thing that we can engage in is the average of those appraisals.
Sure.
Yep.
And we're gonna pay for the appraisals, the city?
Yes.
Okay, do you have any idea on cost on the appraisals right now on?
No,
Since
because
it's
I can't start that until,
agriculture?
we, get this part approved.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, so some clarification to back up your statements there, Mayor. This falls under IC code number 36-1-10-5-5. Sorry about that. We all forget that, I guess. So we're talking about IC code 36-1-10-5-5. Anybody can look this up. You can Google it. It's real easy. Basically, it says a purchasing agent shall purchase land or a structure only after compliance with the following procedures. And this is what we're doing here tonight. The fiscal body of the political subdivision shall pass a resolution to the effect that it is interested in making a purchase of specific land or a structure. That's us. That's all we're doing tonight. Giving permission to move forward. Thank you.
Any other questions? No more questions. I would entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I
Go ahead.
move that we pass resolution number 1, 2024.
A second.
We have a motion by Councilman Kane, second by Councilman Witten. Roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall,
Aye.
Fordice.
Aye.
Klein,
Yes.
Divine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, resolution number 1-2024 has passed. Congratulations for the members of the public. It doesn't need to go to a second hearing. Once a resolution passes, it's passed. So congratulations.
Thank you all so much.
Moving on to general ordinance number 4-2024, first reading.
An amendment to general ordinance number 10-2023, adding a fire prevention chief salary for the city of Marion, Indiana Fire Department. Speaking, Fire Chief Curtis Garr.
Sorry, first council meeting.
Welcome.
Sorry, big feet. Thank you all for having me. This is hopefully I want to get the fire prevention chief salary placed back into the city's ordinance. My understanding is that the salary was taken out years ago. I'm not sure how long ago it was, but the fire prevention chief title and position is still within the collective bargaining agreement between the city and the firefighters union. I think around 10 years ago, maybe, the former, at that time, fire prevention chief was promoted to chief. Well, he decided that if the fire prevention officers needed any assistance, if someone else in the building superintendent or occupancy inspection, the fire chief would just go and help. He would do that. He didn't have a need for the fire prevention chief to do that. He didn't have a need to fill that position. So the position went unfilled for a period of time. After so long, I guess somewhere along the line, they decided to just take it out of the salary ordinance. I myself am not a former fire prevention officer. Our investigation division is very important to the department. It's a very detailed oriented division. One form misguided, one form misspelled one form, one T is not crossed. And then we have the potential of a arsonist walking the streets. And I don't want to put the citizens of Marion in that position. I believe the fire prevention chief is very much needed. I feel that he is, will be able to guide. We have our fire prevention officers are not only young in age, they're young in service on the department. They're also young in the action of fire prevention officers. Brandon Eckstein was promoted to fire prevention chief. He has a long history in being a fire prevention officer with a very, actually a great record behind him. He will be able to guide them. He will be able to lead them to where we are having our best foot forward for the citizens of Marion, and also within different agencies within the building. With that, I'll take any questions.
Go ahead, any questions?
Welcome, Chief.
Thank you.
And the gentleman you're talking about, Brandon Eckstein,
Yes.
is, if not the highest, probably one of the highest conviction rates with arsonists. He's very good at that job. And I agree with you 100%. Obviously, being in the industry, I'm very well known in this situation, and I think this is extremely important to get this done.
I think he's only second to the legend, Bobby Johnson.
Oh, that's true. Bobby probably would have been. I forgot.
I
Yeah.
think he's only second to him. He
Yeah.
has a very great conviction rate. He's absolutely it was almost as if this role was made for him. His skill set fits the fire prevention chief perfectly.
He's changed the laws a lot too, like with the firearms and stuff, because our fire prevention, they're left alone on that
Yes.
2, 3, 4 in the morning by themselves. So
Yes.
he's done a lot of good with this.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yes.
What?
Chief, I really, really seriously want to get this right.
Okay. So what?
Because this is really, really important.
Yes, sir.
And I've been on here 4 years, going on 5. We made a mistake one time before on this.
Okay.
It cost us $500,000.
Okay.
I would like to send this to committee to make sure that this is gonna be compliant with the FOP and the firefighters on the Me Too clause, because the last time, all we did was give $1,000 raise to captains on the fire department. We got a grievance filed, it cost the city $500,000. I would really like to go over these contracts. I've got the FOP contract, I've got the firefighters contract. Just make sure we're not gonna make the same mistake that we made last time. We got the attorney from the city said it was okay, the mayor said it was okay, the fire chief said it was okay. There was a grievance filed from the police department, it cost us $500,000, we had to give them all raises. So since this has been taken out of the budget 10 years ago or whatever, and now we're adding it back in, I just want to make sure with the Me Too clause, I'm not putting it off. I just want to have a committee meeting, whether it's public safety, get the FOP together, the union reps. Let's make sure that we're in compliance with this and we're not going to get kicked in the hiney for it. That's my recommendation before we would vote on this.
Just a clarification. We, as this council, did not make that mistake.
We made the vote to pass
We
it.
did not make that
Okay.
mistake.
We made the vote to pass it.
All right, we can go back and forth,
Yeah.
but do you have anything to add?
We all know who made that mistake.
Okay.
Doesn't
And
make
I-
any difference.
I believe, to clarify too a little bit, I believe that was over a raise given, not a position.
Correct.
But you're adding a position that's not there.
The
So
No,
actual,
that position is there.
the
No, it's
actual
not.
position is actually listed in the
Yes, it
firefighters
is.
union contract.
But it's not in this year's budget.
It's not in the budget, no, but the
No.
position exists in the contract.
And we negotiate the contracts every year, correct?
No.
So,
Firefighters
hold on
and
one
the
second here.
FOP.
Hold on a second. So that's why he's here today, is to ask, so we're not adding a position, so he's going from Eckstein is going from fire prevention officer to fire prevention chief.
Correct.
And it's a difference of $4,030. So essentially,
He's in
sure, it's $4,030 more, but it is a promotion to from what I understand, a position that's already
Yes,
in the contract.
yes, the
It's just we
position
haven't filled it, correct?
Right, the previous chiefs didn't feel a need to, they didn't see a need to fill it because they were kind of side business, if you will. They were kind of assisting on their own. I don't have that capabilities, and I don't think that fits my skill set. It doesn't fit me as a chief. And I think as a chief and my deputy chief should be doing other things and let the fire prevention chief handle that division himself. So it's has the best foot forward.
So this is a promotion for Brandon Eckstein
Correct.
to chief and adjusting the pay accordingly for chief's pay that has already been negotiated in the contract.
Correct. That was the idea was because of in our command structure, the assistant chief and the fire prevention chief have the same authority level, so their pay should be equal. So it's not a raise by any one. It's just that pay being placed back into the salary ordinance equal to the assistant chief's pay.
And just to clarify too, Gary, as far as negotiating, it's not every year. They've had 1-year contracts, 2-year contracts, 3-year contracts, so.
It varies per man.
Yeah.
So yeah, the position's there, you're just wanting to fill it.
Correct.
Now that there's a need, since it's not you said your forte.
Correct.
And so you're asking to amend that pay. Or, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. I'll explain in a second. You're asking to increase, well, he's getting a promotion, so he's needing the extra money to help cover that promotion to an existing position that was not previously filled, because he was a fire prevention officer, or he is a fire prevention officer and is just getting put into that empty position now. So that's what he's asking for, is just that basically $4,030 for the year, which we're already a couple pay cycles in, so it'll end up being less than that for the year.
Correct.
So that's one, if it's amended, or I'm sorry, if the pay is approved, then that it'll be a little less than that than what the city's gonna end up paying the rest of the year.
Correct.
Now so I got a little ahead of myself. I did have a discussion with the chief. When it was proposed or submitted, there was an error, on the fire prevention chief pay. On the general ordinance that was submitted, it was submitted for $2,321.57 biweekly. However, the contract says that the fire prevention chief should make the same as the assistant chiefs.
Correct.
And it was an error that $2,321.57 was taken off of the 2023 pay
Correct.
structure.
Correct.
But really the 2024 pay structure, it should actually match the assistant chief's amount of $2,391.22. Am I correct?
Yes, it was just the 3% raise that all the city employees got was just accidentally omitted. So
Thank
if you add 3% to the figure you just stated, it will equal the same as the assistant chief.
That's per the contract?
Correct.
Correct, okay. Any other questions?
Just a clarification, I don't disagree with what you said. I think we should dot the i's, cross the t, make sure that that happens. Because that was, all I was saying is, this council didn't make that mistake. That came from, yeah. Just, I have the floor. I have the floor.
Okay, let him finish, let him
So-
finish.
so-
We're not gonna argue over it,
Right,
just let him
right.
finish.
So, yeah, I don't disagree with you, Mr. Fordyce. I think that should all be checked out so we don't end ourselves at the end of the day, find ourselves in the same boat. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I kind of have a question because.
Can you turn your microphone on?
Sorry. The ordinance filed with my office, the assistant chief and fire prevention chiefs are not the same.
That is correct. So that's what I was just addressing. That was an error when they put the fire prevention chief amount in there. They took 2023's number. So essentially that fire prevention chief biweekly pay should match the assistant chief. And when I had a discussion with him, he realized after it was submitted improperly. So that's what we're gonna,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I
Yeah.
thought somebody else had one that they matched. Okay.
Any other questions? So am I, Councilman Kane, were you saying you agree with Councilman Fordyce on committee? Or you're disagreeing that that error was made?
I probably agree. I agree with Mr. Fordyce that it should be discussed in committee further to make sure that everything's kosher. Moving forward, we don't want to cost the taxpayers thousands and thousands of dollars because of a Me Too clause for the police and fire. I do agree with Mr. Fordyce on that. Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. All right, I'm looking at it right now. Okay, so we'll go ahead and table this and send it to the Public Safety Committee. Brian Cowgill, Vice President Cowgill, is the chair of that. And also on that committee is Gary Fordyce and, Councilman Fordyce and Councilwoman Devine. So we'll go ahead and send that to committee. And if you could schedule that meeting and get that posted before the next meeting so we can come back at the next meeting and hear back from you. Councilman Klein.
Chief?
Yeah.
Our issue is not with the idea. We just want to make
Yeah,
sure we get
sure.
it right.
I get it.
Okay.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and send that to committee and appreciate your time and sharing that. And I will add that I agree that Brandon Eckstein is great for that role and I'm really excited. And in my day job life, I can fully appreciate fire prevention. So I appreciate you coming in today and sharing. And next meeting, we should have something out of committee on that and hopefully be able to give you something there. Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. President, just so that Mr. Fordyce, Ms. Devine understand, I'm out of state next week, so it'll probably be the week after that. The 10th to the 16th, I'll be out of state, so after that. It will be.
Yep, so if you guys could take care of that, make sure you give the proper public notice. That's it on the agenda. I did want to add a comment because we do have people watching us live on YouTube and we'll watch this as it's posted as a recorded video. I do want to let everyone know that's watching and everyone in here that I have had comments about the video quality or even the audio quality of the last one, but we're taking steps. If you're watching live, you can probably hear us better today. I now have Bluetooth microphones because I'm able to stream from a device that is compatible with Bluetooth microphones. But it is in the works. If you made it this far in the meeting online, I appreciate you watching. But it is in the works to get it professionally set up. But my goal, one of the goals I had was to get this information out to the public and readily accessible 24/7. And so that's what we're doing. So while if you can't see us clearly on the video or see everyone speaking, I promise you it's going to get better. And once everything's in place, we're gonna have a really nice state-of-the-art system here. So I just wanted to add that. With nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
A motion by Councilman Fordyce, second by Councilman Witten. Roll call.
Kane,
Aye.
Marshall. Fordyce.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Devine,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Cowgill,
Aye.
McKinley.
Yes, we are adjourned.
Back up to the principal.